Okay, here we go, and action.
Help me! Ready the falls!
This movie is a piece of history, you know. It's like a religious tale almost, you know. It's almost like a real-life story from the Bible.
Stop it again, please! Please!
Please help us!
I mean, the spectacle of this movie is like Gone with the Wind. This movie has become kind of a thing of legend. God, Jim's on fire.
I mean, the actual story of the Titanic, you couldn't have written it better. It's like a great novel. It's like a great novel that really happened. The people were so alive, so fascinating. The emotions that they must have experienced in those last couple of hours as the ship went down.
The tabernacle of God is with man, and he shall dwell with you.
For me, it was just far too compelling.
You jump high, jump right.
This love story really, really carries you through it. You would do anything you could to stop that ship from sinking.
The whole opening of the movie is almost like a lunar expedition. Seeing her coming out of the darkness like a ghost ship still gets me every time. Jim has structured the story to kind of bring a modern-day audience, you know, back to Titanic, and we're taking these dives 2.5 miles down into the deep recesses of the ship.
Oh, baby, baby, are you seeing this, boss?
It's payday, boys. These are some of the things we recovered from your stateroom.
This was fine.
In order to see the present and the past, I decided to create a fictional survivor who was 101 years old, and she connects us in a way to history.
Are you ready to go back to Titanic?
Background, and action.
It looked extraordinary. It looked so real. I couldn't believe it. You know, here's this ship, and we're in Southampton, and it really did feel like that.
It took us a long time to really get our minds around how big this damn ship was. It was huge. It was 880 feet long. It was 60,000 tons of steel. There have been bigger ships built since, but that was the biggest ship that had ever been built at that time.
You know somebody? Of course not, that's not the point. Goodbye, I'll miss you! Goodbye! I will never forget you!
The Titanic itself was a symbol, I think, of a structured society. If you were crossing the line, you were going to pay some kind of penalty. Going up the classes and down the classes, going up the decks and down the decks, if you like.
Oh, forget it, Boyle. You just like have angels fly out of your arse as get next to the likes of her.
Congratulations, Hartley. She's splendid.
I thank you.
She's not really forced into the engagement with Cal, but she, I feel, initially probably did fall in love with him and was very flattered by his affection, but very quickly probably realised that he's rather a nasty, pompous piece of work.
Good gracious.
Perhaps as a reminder of my feelings for you.
The diamond, in a way, seals your fate. You know what I mean? Because it's now, if it was ever possible before, it's going to be impossible now to pull this thing off.
She has got a lot to give, and she's got a very open heart, and she wants to explore and adventure the world, and she just knows that that's not going to happen.
Do you love him?
Pardon me?
Do you love him?
You're being very rude. You shouldn't be asking me this.
Well, it's a simple question. Do you love the guy or not?
Leo is such a brilliant actor, and he doesn't know it. He really doesn't know it, which I think is incredibly endearing.
There was an inner quality to this guy that he had to create.
So serious.
And he totally holds the screen every second that he's on there.
We did a lot of work on those scenes, you know, just the whole getting to know each other thing, and Jack testing Rose to see how she feels about certain things.
You have a gift, Jack. You see people.
I see you.
And?
You wouldn't have jumped.
Kate had it, the thing that you look for. There was a luminous quality in her face, in her eyes, that I just knew that people would be ready to go the distance with her. Because it's a hell of a journey.
That's brilliant. Never done underwater acting before, have I?
It's her first American film, probably 10 times the scale of anything she's ever done.
The set will be sinking during the shot.
Being away from home, so this is like completely taking her to a different dimension, I'm sure, you know? My heart goes out to her.
Aim higher. No, aim higher. Much higher. There, that's it.
I know that working on a James Cameron movie is quite like nothing else.
I mean it, I'll let go.
I know, quite like nothing else, I know. But I really have loved it.
Our first threshold of realization was we're going to have to build a lot of this ship, really a lot of it, to really pull off this story and to do it in a satisfying way that's significantly beyond what's been done before. Because if you're not really breaking new ground, what's the point? Now how are we going to light it? And how are we going to shoot it?
The Titanic was really a floating city of light, and you really see that in the illustrations, and that's what we tried to capture in our photography. The most basic thing we had to do at first was just count portholes. Each one of those required a light behind it, sometimes several. When you walk inside, at 70 miles of one kind of cable and 70 miles of another kind of cable all add up to this Terry Gilliam vision of the telephone company in the 1950s.
The Titanic is the world of the movie. It has to be real. And we had to shoot it as if the Titanic was sitting there, you know, tied up down at Long Beach, and we could just take it out for a spin and shoot on the deck and shoot it with helicopters and make it interesting.
We used all the technology we could to make you believe the Titanic lives. It's on the open water, it's at sea. It is depicted in the film the way Jim Cameron would like to depict it in the film, without any limitation to it. We sort of equate it to being like a symphony, where it's made up of so many notes, and if all the notes are played perfectly, you believe what we're asking you to believe. Smoke coming out of the smokestacks, people on the deck of the ship. And not only people on the deck of the ship, because that's too easy, it's what are they doing? Are they doing something that you believe to be real? When you hit like every note, all of a sudden it transcends the technique of it, and you're there. It is absolutely the Titanic.
Take it to sea, Mr. Murdoch. Let's stretch your legs.
Yes, sir.
You have the sequence of scenes when they decide to really bring up the speed and just pound this Leviathan forward at the fastest it'll go. You've got hundreds of stokers down below throwing coal into these big furnaces, and the big crankshafts of the engines are turning over, these 4-story high engines. You see the power of it, and you see the satisfaction of the officers who run the ship and their domination of the elements.
21 knots, sir.
And then I take that energy and I give it to Jack, Leonardo's character. He's an artist. He's a guy who's able to have his heart soar.
I'm the king of the world!
It's his ship, man. You know, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have a dime. This is his ship. It's his moment. He owns the moment. It both celebrates the ship and it celebrates his character at the same time, which is what I really love about that scene. I've always tried to take the biggest epic moments and somehow tie them always back to the human heart in some way. In the course of making this film, we went to the wreck. And when you see the wreck in the film, it's the wreck. It's the real thing.
Dive 6. Here we are again on the deck of Titanic. 2.5 miles down. Pressure outside is 3.5 tons per square inch.
This is unbelievable. It was a mission to shoot film in one of the most extreme environments that I think film has ever been shot in. So we had to create a camera system. No one had ever taken a camera that deep before. The crushing forces of the water would implode any normal camera housing many thousands of feet above our heads from where we were actually going to be shooting.
Are you ready? Roger, ready. So here we go, and action.
Turned out that we got everything we needed.